I think it was brilliant that you cast Saul because it seems like he had no choice but to be invigorated by every moment of the process, and it really comes through on screen. So it was just gorgeous. But I have one scene I need to have deconstructed. So the part where you meet the ex-girlfriend and she obliterates you, and then you go out into the street, and then you kind of collapse in the street. What was happening there? Can you kind of just deconstruct that scene for us?
Essentially, what happens is his fear strikes him. Like she says these things to him that crush his spirit because everybody else is sort of just like, oh, Sache, you know, and she's like, fuck you, Sache, you know. Have you even lived yet? You know, you weren't with me, so how can I know you've lived? You know. And so what happens is that Sache becomes frightened of the possibility of dying before he reaches his wife and children. And his big fear in that moment in the marketplace that he's gonna die before he reaches home. That he's gonna die early. And so he's just struck by fear, the fear of it, and those voices, you know. It's funny that moment, Joe, my sister is here, because there's the music in the film at that time, I think, of the singing
Rwanda.
From Rwanda, right?
Yep.
But I remember my eyes in that moment of looking up as if, you know, of course we didn't shoot with music, we shot in the marketplace. But at that time, I remember I was thinking of my father. Because my father was a Baptist minister, right? And there was a sermon that he preached, I don't know, maybe once a year. You know, like after a while you start to realize that the pastors have like different sermon scripts, you know? So I was like, oh, there's that. So when that sermon would appear, I'd be like, oh shit, here comes that sermon. You know, because that sermon was always something. And it was that sermon where he would, at the end of the sermon, he would talk, I forget actually what the sermon was about, but it was about these spirits that are around us and that they're always there and present. And when the sermon would end and the choir is already singing and all this stuff, he would be there still at the pulpit and he'd start looking around like this. And then he'd start snatching. You remember? Yeah, he'd start snatching this like this as he's going back to his chair, you know? And that scene always makes me think of my father. Yeah.
So I'm Manjako, so I'm like from Guinea-Bissau and Senegal. So I'm so emotional right now because I felt like when I was watching the movie, I saw my family, I saw my roots. That's the way I see Senegal. That's the way I see part of like Guinea too. And I really like was so shocked about all the details that probably a lot of people won't pay attention to. For example, when you throw the water on the floor, which is like blessing and stuff, it's kind of crazy how probably like a lot of people won't notice that. But there's so many like truth in the movie. I think the movie is true. And Sayur, I think that sorry. I have a friend who has the same name, same spelling with different. So I think that you really melt, like you blend really well with the rest of the movie because it doesn't seem that you're not from Senegal at all.
Yeah.
And it's really, like I've been following your career and stuff, it's like almost scary how much you blend perfectly. It's like, wow, it's just,
perfect.
Yes, it's beautiful, but it's just like, I hope that many people will see that movie because it shows the real Africa, I think.